Hi everyone, it's DarkVice88 back again, and I'm doing what I promised in the last very short I Can't Hold a Camera to Save My Life video. I'm going to give you an overview of my comic book collection. Well, graphic novels. If you look, I got a lot, and there's a few in the back, so I'm going to start taking these out and showing you them off. And I also have some manga, which will be included in the second part. So you guys will get a good chance to see most of my collection, and I hope you enjoy it. So let's start it. So I just got back after getting the graphic novels off my shelf, and I realized there's a few more piles that we have to do. So I'm going to have to do 3 parts to this. The first part will be one half, and the second part will be other comics. But right now, we're going to start with teams, and then we're going to move on to Miscellaneous, which is right over there. That'll be the second video. So first off, my Batman books. I have Batman Year 1. These are all in chronological order as I see it. Then Batman the Man Who Laughs, The Long Halloween, Dark Victory. Of course, you gotta have Alan Moore's The Killing Joke. Then we got the infamous Death in the Family, which is, you know, got a little bit damaged, but I'm glad I found it. I got it for free, actually. Explain why. Then we got all 3 parts of Nightfall. Part 1, which is Broken Bat. Part 2, Who Rules the Night. And Part 3, Night's End, where Batman gets his back broken, Azazel takes over, beats up Bane, and Batman has to take care of Azazel. Then we got Hush, Part 1, and Part 2, Superman, Batman, Public Enemies. Until I get the other volumes, is a Batman book, I just put it in there. Everyone's like, you shouldn't, but I'm like, whatever, I'm doing it. Then we got Under the Red Hood, Parts 1 and Parts 2, which is actually one of Judd Winnick's better books. The excellent Face to Face, 1 year later after Infinite Crisis. Then Batman and Son, which begins what I would call the Grant Morrison Batman era, when he started writing everything. The Resurrection of Ra's al Ghul. Then Heart of Hush, which I cannot recommend more. After you read Hush, read this. There's another book with Hush in it between them, but this is the best one. It's much better than the decent Batman Rest in Peace. Then we got, which is Death, then Bow for the Cowl, which led to Dick Grayson becoming the new Batman with his son Damian, Bruce's son Damian as Robin in Batman and Robin Volume 1, Batman Reborn. Then Batman vs. Robin, which is Volume 2. And most recently I got The Return of Bruce Wayne, so I need to get Batman and Robin Volume 3 to catch up to the books as well as Incorporated. And then I'm going to start getting War Games. And for alternate Batman books, I got the first graphic novel I bought, the excellent Frank Miller penned Dark Knight Returns, followed up with the less than stellar The Dark Knight Strikes Again. You really only need that. You really just only need to read Dark Knight Returns. Amazing. So, sit down for a second, you can all look at that while I just move this pile. Oh, that's a lot of them. Now onto Green Lantern with the original guy, Hal Jordan. We got his origins with Emerald Dawn, Part 1 and Part 2. And then his new origins with Jeff Johns' Secret Origin, and Jeff Johns is amazing with Hal Jordan's character. Then we got Emerald Twilight New Dawn, The Fall of Hal Jordan, The Rise of Kyle Rayner. The epic Green Lantern Rebirth, which led into the new series of Green Lantern books for Hal Jordan with No Fear, Revenge of the Green Lanterns, Wanted Hal Jordan, Sinestro Corps War Part 1, Part 2, Tales of the Sinestro Corps, Rage of the Red Lanterns, Agent Orange, Green Lantern Blackest Night, and I have read the entirety of Blackest Night, and Green Lantern Brightest Day. So that's it for the Green Lantern books. And let's get it down, moving around. Now we move on to a combination of Justice League and Justice Society. First off, I have James Robinson's JSA, The Golden Age, followed up with the Jeff Johns 1 year later era of Justice Society of America with The Next Age. Then Parts 1, Parts 2, and Parts 3 of Thy Kingdom Come, which is a sequel to Kingdom Come, which I'll get to in a bit, which is one of my favorite series of all time. And then the last book he did, Black Adam and Isis. And then I have Justice League of America, the 1 year later team, by Brad Meltzer, with The Tornado's Path. and then the JSA crossover of Lightning Saga. So currently these are the only Justice League books I have in Justice Society. I'll move on to the older stuff, but right now this is the most important stuff. Put that down. Great editing, I know. Then move on to other teams with, why not, the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Much better than that god-awful movie. This is Volume 1 and Volume 2, where they encounter the Martians from War of the Worlds. It's ridiculous but awesome. And then the Black Dossier, which is just like a weird fact book with a story mixed in, but it's decent. But the first two are the best. So done with that, we move on to I count this not with Miscellaneous, it's Starman Omnibus Volume 1, which everyone says is awesome. I was like, well, I gotta check it out. So I checked it out and I loved it. It's sort of like, it's an amazing story about legacy superheroes and Golden Age themes, which is what I like. So it was worth a pickup, and there's 5 more books in the series, so I have to pick those up soon, but yeah, Starman. Now my Superman books, we got Superman for All Seasons, then the epic of The Death of Superman, The World Without a Superman, and finally The Return of Superman, with all the other Supermans or something, and the original in the middle. And then the Jeff Johns storylines with Last Son, co-written by Richard Donner, the guy who did Superman 1 and 2. Then the excellent Legion of Superheroes, which I cannot recommend enough to you people. Even if you don't know who Legion are, it explains it, and it's perfect. And then finally, Superman Brainiac. I'm not going to get into New Krypton or World of New Krypton, because they just don't interest me. But yeah. So, one more team, and then I'll cut into another video. Let's see. Oh. We got Teen Titans. I just got through Season 3 last night, actually. I'll be moving on to yesterday, so I'm moving on to Season 4 soon. Rewatching it. So we got the classic Judas Contract, which should have been made into the anime movie if they didn't cancel the project. Get on that, people. Then we got the Jeff Johns era of Volume 3 of Teen Titans with A Kid's Game, Family Lost, Beast Boy and Girls, Future Is Now, which was, like, in my opinion, the highlight of the series. Then Life and Death, Titans Around the World, after Infinite Crisis. Then we got Titans East. And then we move on to when Jeff Johns left the storyline in Titans of Tomorrow, and didn't really do so well after this. And I mean, you bring in Sean McKever and he does stuff like On the Clock and Death Trap, but I still collect them because I like Teen Titans and I'm such a fanboy for them. And then Child's Play. I know these two are 11 through 12, and I'm missing 10, but I skipped ahead, so I'll be getting 10 soon, then finishing off because the DC relaunch is coming up and everyone's going nuts about that. And then finally the two Outsiders crossovers, The Insiders, which takes place between volumes 4 and 5, and then finally The Death and Return of Donna Troy, which has the Young Justice Titans Graduation Day special, File of Donna Troy, and then Death and Return of Donna Troy. So that's part 1, and join me for part 2 in just a bit. And welcome back to part 2, which will finish up my last 2 major team collection books. Well, 3. 2 teams and 1 solo. And we'll move on to my collection of miscellaneous stuff and crossover events. So, we move on to one of my favorite teams of all time, the Thunderbolts, the villains masquerading as heroes, who become villains and then heroes and whatnot. With first collection, Justice Like Lightning, Thunderbolts, which is the first few issues of the series from '97. Then the new Thunderbolts with One Step Forward, Modern Marvels, Songbird, my favorite character, hell yeah. Then Right of Power, and this moved on to renumbering the series after 100. Now we got the Civil War crossover, Guardian Protocols, the miniseries Thunderbolts presents Zemo Born Better, Faith in Monsters, which is the Warren Ellis era, along with Caged Angels. Then Thunderbolts Secret Invasion, which was written by Christos Gage, and then moved on to the Andy Diggle run with Burning Down the House, Widowmaker. Then Parker took over with Siege Thunderbolts, and finally Thunderbolts Cage. So I'm pretty much caught up to the series right now, besides the Avengers Thunderbolts. All I need right now is Shadowlands and Violent Rejection, then I'll be all set with this. But that is Thunderbolts. And I got room to move these over. And now we move on to Runaways, another awesome series. Start off with the massive, complete Volume 1 run of Runaways, which is bent, but it's the entirety of the first 18 issues of the series by Brian K. Vaughan. Then we got the digest versions of True Believer, which is the second run, Escape to New York, Parental Guidance, and Live Fast. This takes place in between the arcs in 7. This is the Young Avengers and Runaways crossover in Civil War, which was written by Wells. Oh, here we go, Zeb Wells. Then we got Josh Whedon's Dead End Kids, which was interesting, not bad. Then we got Christopher Yost doing the Secret Invasion Runaways Young Avengers event. Then we move on to the Dark Ages. Terry Moore taking over with Dead Wrong and Rock Zombies, which weren't all that good, but it got a little bit better when Catherine and Monin took over with Homeschooling. But the series ended in Volume 3 after like 14 issues, and there's no plans to bring him back, though some characters have made, like Lucy and Molly have made some appearances, but, you know, Gretchen's still dead, and someone's in a wheelchair, and it's just crazy. But read this. Read Runaways. I recommend it. And then we move on to my main man, Wolverine. So I got into a massive collection. My local comic shop does a free comic book day event where everything's half off, and I got into a huge spending spree on Wolverine books when the movie came out. The movie sucked, but the books I got were awesome, like the Amazing Wolverine origin story. Then the Best of Wolverine, which consists of, here we go, Incredible Hulk 181, his first appearance, the Frank Miller Wolverine miniseries, Weapon X, Uncanny X-Men 205, and the Captain America Annual number 8. This is like a somewhat complete version of his adventures, but not all there. Then we got Kitty Pryde and Wolverine by Chris Claremont, Wolverine Not Dead Yet, The Best There Is, Enemy of the State, Part 1 and Part 2, and that's my Wolverine books. So then we move on to Miscellaneous with 100 Demons by Linda Berry. This was just for a comic book course. Then the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover, followed up with the excellent Legion of Three Worlds, which was much better than Final Crisis in general. The awesome Identity Crisis. The pretty good Infinite Crisis. We got Kick-Ass. The movie is awesome. The Amazing Kingdom Come, which is recommended for everyone to read, along with Marvels. Then we got Ronin, V for Vendetta, Countdown to Infinite Crisis, Villains United, which now will give me an excuse to get Secret 6. The 2-disc box set of Mouse, that's the cover for Part 2, and this is Part 1. And then we got, I'm a big Serenity fan, so we got Serenity, Those Left Behind. Then Star Wars, the Dark Empire Trilogy Saga. And then finally, this bad boy, Walking Dead Compendium 1, which is issues 1 through 48, and the Christmas special. So that is the entirety of my comic book collection. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll move on to manga soon, but stay well, guys.